car starts to spin around. Whoa, pretty amazing that Corey LaJoy didn't make contact or any of the other drivers that were behind him.
Now, Case not driving his usual 53. That is a Davey Allison tribute paint scheme right down to the car number. And I'll let the crew chief for Davey Allison, Larry Mack, explain what's going on there. Yeah, Mike, it's so cool. Joey ran
You know the drill.
This is a paint scheme like we ran in the early 90s, including the win here in 1990.
We'll just wait for a few more people to show up, and then we'll actually get started.
In 1987, it was his very first
Alrighty.
career win. That's the same race that his dad took out all of the catch fans early in the race. But a three-time winner here in the spring. This was another win for him here in 1992, in the spring of 1992. And the biggest thing is they're paying tribute and trying to get people to register to be in the organ donor. Thanks, Larry. Left sides for Bubba Wallace as Kevin Harvick led a group of cars on the pit road. But they just were.
Right, Prod kind of replied to your message wondering about today's topic.
So the top 24 chose not to pit.
Today's topic is just basically about, jobs, experiences, work stories that we have and we already went through.
Remember, guys, this Coca-Cola Zero Sugar tastes mighty delicious.
Come on, buddy. It has zero sugar.
But it tastes great.
Let's take the brains away. If you keep lying like this, you'll be a puppet forever.
But it's the honest truth.
You'll never be a real boy.
No, it's no lie.
You're right. It's delicious.
Told you. I never lied.
Just wait a little bit more, see if more people to join the stream. And I'll post the invite link here. Okay, you also have it in the description.
And I also put in the invite link in the description. Yeah, I was gonna say. Oh, we got one person here.
Welcome.
The bowls are back. Applebee's Irresistibles, all just $8.
Are notifications broken, or do I need to start saying this amount of people are not subscribed to my channel? You need to subscribe right now, or whatever.
I mean, that could work.
Because I don't do it because I don't want to be one of those people that unknowingly says that every video.
Insurance for members like Martin, an Air Force veteran made of doing what's right, not what's easy. So when a hailstorm hit, USAA reached out before he could even inspect the damage.
Okay, and it's there. For people that are just here, welcome and stuff. Headhunters here is kind of like concerned at the lack of traffic on this current stream. It's kind of has been a thing ever since the second episode, so.
What you're made of, we're made for.
But that's something else for another time, so just gonna throw the intro right here. Welcome to the another episode of the N4P podcast, N4 podcast, and this episode of the podcast, we're just basically gonna talk about work, jobs, any experiences and work stories that we have encountered and experienced in the past. It could either be from your job that you're in right now, a previous job that you've done before, or even not a paying job, like a full-time, part-time, or a side hustle job, but as a, something that you had to do. Either could be for school or for whatever other reason.
A narrative, basically.
And if you want to join in for our podcast, which we have spots open for you or anybody else that is willing to join in with a microphone, just join into the link of my Discord server that's in the chat right now or in the description, or even if you want to go to the About section of my channel, in which not only you can be part of the podcast, but you can also be part of our server. Hang out with other people, and if you are, follow the rules.
Welcome, Jay.
You wake up and then it'd be on Sunday morning, you go, oh, that's where we are.
Now, usually will last about an hour, but not counting the intro and what's already been run right now, I'm not gonna start the timer until somebody joins in. But while we wait for that particular person, I'm just gonna share my experiences and things that I witnessed on my jobs.
Sure thing.
And most recently, and excuse me for coughing too much as well. I've been feeling sick for the past few days, so now I'm getting better, but still not fully 100% recovered. I don't know if it's COVID or not, but I've been feeling
Let's
sick
hope
for the
it's
past
not.
few days. Hopefully not. But I'm feeling better now. But anyways, so I have a real job, or should I say, first job I had since at one time I used to work at Amazon. But this job in particular, as you've seen in the thumbnail with the Subaru logo without context, I work at a Subaru dealership. I'm not gonna say where specifically because I want to keep it private, and I don't know if it's even okay to say it. I mean, yeah, it's to promote a business essentially, but I don't know how they will feel if I mention the dealership itself, and the things that I say, which they're not negative. I just don't know what they will say. So, anyways, started working there, ironically on April Fool's Day. Low-key, I thought I was gonna, get pranked, as in coming in the dealership be a waste of time that I didn't get hired. Actually, hey, it's April Fool's. Anything can happen that day. But everything was going fine and dandy. Alright, so first day I came in with casual clothes looking, let's just say, looking pretty nice. And I got dirty. But that was just part of the job, and people were concerned about it, but I didn't care less. The job was to get dirty. It is what it is. It didn't matter. I didn't get the memo because it was first day. Nobody really, manager didn't explain much as to what should I wear and what should I bring. So I just came in the way I came and did my job using tools from other people that were, letting me borrow and help change oils, change tires, or rotate them actually, or even do an MPI, a multi-point inspection. So,
Welcome, Prod.
and how you doing, Prod?
I've been doing well. I apologize for the late join. I was busy doing something on Modern Warfare.
Today's topic is about job experiences, pretty much other two from the polls.
Well, sadly, I have no actual job experience whatsoever.
Errands can also count, or some side jobs you kind of do.
Yeah, like anything you've done like back in your day when you were a teenager or a lot younger. Doesn't have to be a paying job like a regular job. Full time, part time. That don't matter. As long as it's something that you had to do, that somebody told you to do as an errand or a job, it's something worth sharing if it's interesting to know. But anyways, back on my time on Subaru. So
Sure thing.
second day goes by, it was alright. Third day, interestingly, see, there were things on the contract that involved things that you're gonna do as a Subaru tech, or let alone an employee of that dealership is Subaru. And it also, and what I remember, it said something about delivering vehicles and fueling vehicles. And what surprised me on my third day, which was that soon, is that me and another coworker, which he also went to the same school that I went, and still is going, but, well, he is a bit older than me, and he's a few terms behind. Well, he would have been graduating a lot sooner, but COVID hit him, so... Not him, it's just COVID as a whole that forced him to step off for a semester and then come back when it will be okay to do so. But anyways, so me and him, we go in separate cars. One, he goes in a different car from the dealership, to get me once we deliver the car, because the person that's supposed to deliver the car itself to the customer was me. And we drove on this, and so we drove out of the dealership, and there was traffic there, but it was expected since I drive there pretty much on a daily basis to get to work and to get to other places. But that is what it is. But what I've been told about the client that he's crazy. I know he's old and he's crazy, but I didn't budge. He wasn't like, what you expect out of a Kevin or anything, or acting like a Karen, but he was alright. But I just went along with what people said. And we delivered a car, and then we told him what was up with it, what caused the issue to begin with before we delivered, which we told him it was the light that's near the trunk. That light, because it was an SUV. Or should I say, let me try to remember what car it was. It was an Outback. It was an Outback. So the light on the liftgate was on, and that's what caused the battery to drain out. And then we recharged it, and then that's what we told him about what happened and why his car didn't work anymore, which was a dead battery because he left the light on. As he shouldn't.
What did he say?
Nah, he understood, and we just left. Well, not straight back to the dealership. And we wasn't even in a hurry anyway, since that other coworker and we get paid hourly, not by flat rate. We get paid by the hour. Doesn't matter how good or bad we do, we still getting paid by the hour. So later on that day, we went on to a bike store, a motorcycle parts store, because the shop foreman tasked my coworker to get some things for him because that shop foreman owns a motorcycle. But I remember he got oil in the filter, so that's what he bought, and that's what we ended up giving to him once we got back. And moving on forward, there were mistakes that I've done in there. And the few that I remember doing was filling up oil on the car. Not the wrong type of oil. The thing was that we don't fill oil with like bottles in a funnel. No. Not like what you would do at your house or at any other place that's not advanced in terms of the tools and materials that they use. We use a hose with a gauge. And we fill oil, and my issue was I got an issue where that thing with that gauge, which has a trigger nozzle, it got locked up. And when I was about to let go, when I was about to reach the right amount of quarts that the engine should take, it got locked up, and panicking, I didn't know what to do, so I just got out the hose, and it was squirting all over the engine. And then I got it out of the engine, and it was squirting all over the floor. And it was still locked. And then eventually I managed to get it unlocked, and it stopped. And then it was just a mess. Not as bad, but it could have been worse.
It was squirting all over the place.
Uh-huh.
Come on, man.
Hey, cut me some slack, man. I'm a rookie, all right?
I'm a rookie. I wasn't supposed to squirt like that.
I may went to school, bro, but I've still got them rookie stripes on me. Relax.
Mistakes happen. It matters that you try and minimize them.
You try to minimize.
I know. I've been trying. Really. I know what to do, but I don't know. Stuff happens. Another mistake that I remember is putting a car on the lift. And so the type of lifts that we have is, let's say that there's two ramps. One on the left, one on the right, for each side of the vehicle. Right side of the vehicle and the right side of the vehicle. That you just simply drive onto them, and then you get in a position in where the vehicle is perfectly centered. Center enough to the point when you get to the air, you can get the tires out of the vehicle in midair. What I did wrong there was that I pulled the vehicle too forward to the point that we had to get the air out of the rear tires. Not to get it out. We still got it out fine. It was getting them in that was the problem. When we had to rotate the tires, when we had to rotate the front tires to the rear, that was the problem. But it wasn't that bad. It was just simply getting the air out of the tires and then filling them up again. Since then, I don't commit a mistake like that. I almost did, but I learned my lesson and I know what to do. There were also other lifts as well. The one that has two beams coming out of the ground, right? And it has 4 arms in total, 2 on each side. And then it has flaps that you flip up, in which those flaps are supposed to touch the frame of the vehicle. That's another type of lift. And then there's also another type of lift that I'm very familiar with in school, which is a simple forearm lift that has nothing on the ground, planted on the ground, or even has ramps like the one I mentioned earlier. It was just simply forearm lift where you can spin the points of the arms to the point that it reaches a high level, so it makes it easier to touch the frame of the vehicle, where it's supposed to be lifting up in the air. Those are the lifts that I know. I don't have a problem with those. It was just the ramp one that I had one issue with. Now, moving on to just a few days ago, or should I say like a week ago, there was this 2000 Outback. Alright, so we don't typically deal, from what I've seen, older Subaru models. We mainly deal with Subaru models that are newer, as of recent. We deal with 2021 models, 2020, and the oldest you could say for modern era that I can remember is 2010 or 11. Anything else is in between is the modernized you can see. But it's mainly 2015 to 2021 that are the most common that come into the dealership for any service. So there was this 2000 Outback. Oh, and by the way, we also deal with other vehicles. But the weird thing about those other vehicles that are not Subaru is just, why do people come in for service?
They'd expect it to be something universal. It's like they cannot afford it, or it's just like finding.
And I know why. Money, bro. But still, it's a Subaru dealership. But anyways, about that 2000 Outback. So that thing comes in for service, right? But I remember we did change oil and there was other things that was going on with it. I don't recall what they were. But the issue with that thing was on the inside of how dirty it was. It had a lot of trash in there. Lots of plastics, a lot of stuff. I wish I would have taken a picture, but I was just too busy with another car. But I was working on another vehicle that was next to that Outback, and other co-workers were, seeing this, and nobody wanted to get it out of the thing. So, so service advisors typically will deliver cars from the main entrance and where people come in to tell them what's going on and what they want to do with their car, and then service advisors take it near the shop doors, where us technicians will go out there once we get an RO and get the vehicle that we were going to work on. So I heard a rumor complain that somebody had, crap in their pants.
Ooh.
Whoa! Bro, I never thought we would see a flip.
Are you playing?
Sorry. Alright, sorry. I was completely side note. I'm watching a NASCAR race right now and I just seen somebody flip.
So it seems like I'm not the only one that's like doing something as well as the podcast happens.
Oh, hold on a second, bro. Let me... Hold on, bro. Hold on. Let me make sure I didn't pick that driver for some bets here. Oh, I'm good, bro. Shoo.
Newcomer said wrong podcast.
Alright, sorry. Sorry. Alright, so back to what I was saying about those rumors that somebody had crap in their pants. So they didn't crap themselves. All right. So what happened was when one of the coworkers was trying to get the keys, right, of the Outback that was under the seat because it failed somehow. They opened the door and then that man seen crap, like literal crap. Literal shit on the seat.
Oh, hell no.
And it smelled. I wasn't near it. Because I wasn't on the vehicle. I was just listening in. I wanted to see it a lot closer, but then somebody had to attend that car. Oh, Bubba, so close. Sorry, but I wanted to see it up close, but then again, hey, work had to be done. So, and he reached further in the sea, and it smelled really bad, and he almost was about to puke, almost. Other people were coming in, and nobody wanted to get that thing out of there, out of the shop, because the service was already done. And what's surprising, we also have a car wash service as well, where other people will wash the cars as well as a complimentary service. Surprised that person didn't pick that, not just to get the trash out, but also to clean the seats as well. No, they did not. Oh, if you're wondering who that person was, I mean, I don't know the name, obviously. I mean, I didn't pay much attention to the row, and even if I did, I'm not going to mention the name, but I can tell it's a she, not a he. That's what I've been hearing, and nobody got that car out but the manager. He had to get a bunch of plastic to put on the seat, just to put it on the seat and get the car out to the front.
Really is a shitty experience, huh?
I'm surprised nobody asked the new guy just because, well, fuck the new guy, which is me.
Fuck the new guy. He gets a shitty experience.
Now, alright, so, but we didn't throw much insult into it. See, because that woman that owned that Outback was disabled, so that explains why the car was like that.
Oh, okay.
That explains why the car was like that.
You think she'd try at least a bit to clean it? Oh no, just leave the poor worker here to deal with it. He won't mind.
We can't throw much shade. How do I know that she was disabled? There was a disabled sign in the mirror inside of the car. So, yeah.
Brady, so far nobody is in the waiting room. This is the first time.
This is odd, yeah.
Oh, I guess it's gonna be a trio of the three hosts talking then. Mostly me.
I wouldn't
Mostly
mind.
you, yeah, because I don't really have many experiences, if any at all.
Hey, speaking of, have you finished with yours, the sign, or?
Alright, so on the lifts again. Aside from that tire situation, it was the same lift again. Now, typically, and this is what I learned from school about car lifts. You always want to put the lifts on the locks. That way, if you don't, chances are the lift will fail and the car will instantly drop down. And then that will be a disaster. I always do that. But one time that I did, the car was like leaning one side because it caught on the locks on one side. It caught on the right side of the locks. But when I was trying to get on the left side of the locks, a big pop happened. A big pop. That not just me, but also other people heard it too. And I was getting scared because I thought I broke the lift. But no, sometimes that happens. And even another coworker told me that the same thing happened to him. But everything was fine. The lift works. It's just sometimes likes to do that. I never knew it could do that sometimes, or let alone seen it happen with my own eyes and hear it with my own ears. But I thought I broke the thing, and I was gonna get in trouble too. But thank goodness that lift is still even working too. So no worries after that. And I was also wondering why another coworker never locks the lift whenever he lifts the car up. But now I know why, because that shit can happen. So moving on forward to just recently, on Thursday. So when I mentioned earlier that I'm kind of sick and I'm still recovering, this was during when I was sick. I was so sick. I had flu. My throat was hurting. I had headaches, bro. I didn't feel like I wanted to come to work, but I had to anyways, bro. Money. I need the bread for my PS4 hard drive, which I just bought a new hard drive. Now I gotta wait till sometime next week to get it delivered.
Ah, nice.
Oh, nice. That means finally we can get a PS4 stream again.
Maybe. Because
Maybe.
first things first, after the hard drive gets, I need to,
The usual, yeah.
This will raise a question that I'll probably ask later, but I don't know what's the story.
So, it was the busiest day. Like, hella busy. ROs coming in left and right between 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It was hell. And what's even worse, typically, I know there is about, let me see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that I know that are loot techs, and myself, which is 5. So, one of them doesn't come that often. He only comes in 2 days, and that's because he has school. So that tolls him. And he usually comes in Friday and Saturday. The other days he doesn't show up. Then there's another one that's having his day off on that day. And there's also another one that apparently he was on vacation. And then there's also another guy, which I was first introduced to when I first started working at Subaru. And then there was me. Just us 2 lube techs doing all the work that involves changing oils and basic maintenance stuff. Just us 2. And I believe it's either, I don't know, I say he suffered the worst because he came in earlier. Because he comes in 2 hours earlier than I do. And he went on working with no lunch, and he left at 5, which originally he leaves at 4 because we have an hour lunch, but he would have left at 3 because it was 8 hours straight with non-stop. And then there was me who was sick, basically sick, coming in at 9 a.m. and then just working non-stop for 6 hours. I felt like I couldn't.
Hell, if it was me, I'd probably just.
And
die.
without eating lunch too. And I didn't eat lunch until 3. Until the shop foreman told me to go to lunch. But then he told me a bit earlier, but I kept going because there were still cars coming in, so I wasn't like really hungry. And 2, I didn't want to leave the other guy by himself doing all the work, so you can't just leave your homies behind like that. So, when the ROs started to calm down and there wasn't any new ROs coming in, that's when I took my lunch. And then I went back to work an hour later, all the way till 6. And then once the other guy left around 5, non-stop too, because he was trying to help put some wipers or I forgot what they were doing, or I can't describe it, but he left at 5, and then it was all on my own. Now, there was one car coming in. It was just one. I did all the work, but my issue there was submitting the RO online, because typically we don't use a piece of paper and and write down what we see as an inspection, like you will see in regular shops, like a Firestone shop or a Bridgestone or whatever, or Tires Plus, or whatever local shop that does basic maintenance. I mean, we do that on a computer, but we also have an RO as a piece of paper to write down certain things, like if it needs a cabin filter or an engine filter, the thread of the tires, the wear of the pads, the brake pads, and even sometimes write down the tire, what the tire is. If a tire is too low on thread, in tire thread, that's what we write down on the RO, and everything else we had to do that online and submit it to whatever service advisor is in charge. Well, basically was in charge of the RO that was submitted by them online from the customer, and all that stuff. My issue there was submitting it online. I know how to do it. They already explained to me to do it, and I already know how it works. The problem is logging into the computer, because I'm practically not even in the system to log in to the computer itself. I tried doing it, nothing. And the last person that logged in, which was the same coworker that was suffering with me, already left, so I had nobody. So eventually I talked to other technicians that were there that are higher than me in terms of position, and I asked them if I can borrow their computer just to submit the RO, and they let me. I submitted the RO, rest is history. Sent that car to wash, and then waited a few minutes and went home. Just to suffer even more with the sickness that I had.
Never it's never a good idea to work while sick.
Yeah, but you need that money. It don't matter about the sickness. You gotta pay them bills, Chief.
Plus, one of the most dedicated.
Plus, I can't just skip out days, even regardless of my condition, man. I don't want to look bad in front of my manager.
Ain't
nothing wrong with taking a day off, though. I think that one's like. Just...
I agree. That it's up to you if you really want to show dedication. Just go show to work while sick.
I feel like if anything, it shows more. It looks better if your manager sees that you actually value, your well, not your self-preservation, but your yourself a lot more. But.
Still nobody in the waiting room. Very Sive says that his job is being sued because it's considered a threat to the Stockholm taxi.
To the Stockholm Pepsi?
Stockholm taxi. That's, I believe, one of the places in Sweden.
Ow, how did I die?
Ooh, Baba,
I can't imagine what it's like working at a place that's like getting sued. It's like you have the thought of just, I'm not gonna have a job whether I like it or not, lingering over my head.
So that his job here is they're driving shuttle buses. A threat to, okay, wow, taxi uses bus shuttles. Okay, I can see the war on transportation here.
Oh, so wait, so they're playing both sides here.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can see why.
All right, so moving on. Recently, this is the most recent as in Friday. And so on the afternoon, us loop techs will, depending what time we come in, we can decide when we go to lunch. But that depends when, and we can have an hour of lunch and whatnot. So one of the guys told me to go to lunch. I didn't go to lunch when he told me to. Just because I was waiting for any other ROs and seeing what was up. So there was this RO that I was doing on this 2013 Honda Pilot. Again, we don't just work on Subarus. Hell, there was even a Porsche Cayman that was for sale too. But we don't just work on Subarus. I worked on that Pilot. Had problems with the lift at first as to what flaps I should use, not knowing the bigger flaps can flip as well than just the little ones. But I got the hang of it. I did what I had to do. The rotation, the oil change, I did that. I got the car out, sent it to wash. Still had an issue with resending the maintenance because nobody explained to me how to resend the maintenance on a big boy Honda. I mean, I own the Honda, but a core Pilot, they're different things, man.
Completely different. Okay. I get what you're saying.
So, once I gave up, and then probably eventually we'll figure it out. I mean, I tried to find a way how to reset it. It just didn't work for me, apparently. So I got out of the car on that parking lot where the people from Wash can get the car with the hazards on and everything. I got out, and I looked at the time because I typically go to lunch at 1. Since my shift is from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., I like to keep it balanced. Work for 4 hours, take lunch, and then work for another 4 hours. So, and it was around 1:30. So I just decided I'm just going to go to lunch right now. I got out of that pilot, went to my Accord to get my lunchbox. And then I got my lunchbox out of the car, and then went back inside the shop so I can go to a break room that has a microwave to heat up my food. And then that's when the shop foreman saw me and started to yell at me. I said, "What are you doing?" And then something like that. And then, see me, you don't see those ROs right there? There's like 3 of them. And then I was like, whoa, hold on, hold on. He told me there was like 3 ROs there waiting for me, and then I'm about to take lunch because he didn't knew I was taking lunch. But the thing is, I just saw him, bro. I was just coming inside, literally.
That's gonna be
just to go to lunch. Like, bro, I just got back inside. Well, hold on.
I was just coming inside.
And then, alright, so I told him, he told me that somebody told me to go to lunch, but then I didn't go to lunch when they told me to. Or I told him in a way I said, no, he didn't tell me. Well, he did tell me, I just didn't recall or even pay attention. Or I thought he did say it, but he probably said it to someone else. I didn't pay much attention to it, though. So, basically, I went to lunch on my own will. Exactly when I wanted it to go. Because I had it planned out when I usually go to lunch. So, he knew, and then he told me, next time, tell me when you're going to lunch. I went to lunch after that. Then later on in the day, the complaints started to rise up again, and then I told the foreman even more, as in, well, and then I eventually told him that that the other guy did tell me to go to lunch, but I didn't went to lunch when he told me to. I basically went on my own will. And then, rest was history. And then, yesterday, he told me to go to lunch, and I did when he told me to. That was the shop foreman that told me to go to lunch. Still wondering if it's in go to lunch for an hour or for 30 minutes, because I also heard that he got mad to the point that he was going to reduce lunch from an hour to 30 minutes. So I was wondering, so lunch is going to be shorter, or it's still the same, despite the BS that happened.
Hell, even I'm not even working. Hell, like shit. Just it probably doesn't relate, but hell, just having shorter lunches in general is kind of bad. It's like the one time you actually get to have some time to yourself, you know.
Time to rest as well.
There you go.
All right, now let's go back in time to when COVID was even worse.
The coof.
Someone
coughed on a pet, and now we can't go outside for 2 years.
Back when COVID started, well, not really. It started around like in February to March, but this was not like right now. We're sort of getting better. This was back in August of last year. So back in July, I was filling out an application for Amazon because my mom told me to find a job, even if it's a part-time job, while going to school to get my own money and even try to help her out with some bills and whatnot. And even get some money to pay my own subsidized loans for school. So she told me to use Amazon, even from other family members to go to work at Amazon. So giving up a choice, and this was around the time before I even worked at Subaru, or let alone finding a job in any dealership or shop, because it was difficult back then. I filled out an application not knowing that it wasn't part-time, if not it was full-time. But luckily, the full-time schedule was on the days that I was free, not on the days that I go to school. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So it was in those days which I had to, accept the fact that I won't have a weekend or even a free week anymore. Which, going to work and then immediately going to school afterwards, it was just tough, man. And Wednesday is the closest day that I have for a day off, which that didn't count because I still had to go to school. So, moving on onwards after the application process. So, like around July 28th, I had to go to an Amazon fulfillment center, which was not the fulfillment center I worked at. It was a different center, which I had to go just to take a picture for my ID badge and whatnot, and that was about it. Then days go by, and I also simultaneously had to fill out a bunch of documents and paperwork and other stuff, which was a hell of a lot. And even learning a lot as to what you're gonna do as an Amazon employee, associate. The day came in August 15th, 5 days after my 19th birthday. And then I started working. Came in at 9 a.m. just for a orientation, and then stay there till 5 p.m. or 5:30. And my schedule is from 7 a.m. to 5:30. It was hell. I didn't like that. Too early. And that schedule went on from Sunday and onwards until I quit on the first weekend of September. The things that happened in between, though. So it was what I did was a stoward, which what a stoward does for an Amazon fulfillment center is basically drive a pig, which is like a forklift that has forks in the back and where you put a cage in it that has stuff in it. And you take that stuff and go to different aisles and then stow those items in the right drop zones, the right areas of those aisles. That was my job. And operating the pit in terms of training, I was already good at it, bro. I was already a pro. Shoot, if there was a pit racing series, shoot, sign me up, bro. I'm about to get you some wins no time. I can cheat if I have to. I can use aggression. If there was something like a radioactive or a racing series like F1 or NASCAR posting in radioactive stuff of what drivers and crew chiefs and other people are saying on the radio, you're gonna have a hell of a content with me for the things that I see as a pit operator. So anyways, the pit training exercise was basically operate the pit and go and maneuver around some cones. And actually maneuver them, not hitting them. This ain't no coffee break. And I maneuvered those cones, which is typically 2, and it was just going around in a figure 8. Going forwards, going in reverse, and then go around those cones too. Those same single cones, separately. And then there were other people. There was another guy that did okay, and there was this girl that was struggling. I even seen them hit a cone too. I basically was the GOAT. I felt that success, and even you had to go high as well, because sometimes you're not going to find an open spot on those aisles to stow items on the bottom portions of the aisles. You have to go up high. Gotta go high as a kite and be the highest in the room with the pit.
Did you really just make a Travis Scott reference?
No burgers for you.
Hurt you.
No, but seriously, you have to go as high as like 30 feet in the air. Ooh, man.
Hold on, I can't do that.
So that's some sort of warehouse?
Yeah, like warehouses, where you gotta put shit on like the 3rd shelf, but it's really high up. Like you gotta climb up with a ladder whilst holding up like a fucking 20-pound box.
Remember, it's not like a warehouse store. It's a warehouse, as in an actual warehouse that nobody that's not
I know.
that doesn't work that can't show up.
If anything, I'd rather work there because at least I don't have to take things down as much. That's the scary part. Not putting things up, but taking things down. Yeah.
There were other positions there as well, but apparently they just put me as a pit operator. I mean, hey, at least I get to operate vehicles, which I like driving. Hey, I can handle that.
I get to operate a forklift.
Dre in the chat here says that he has heard there's a union going on about their working conditions against Amazon.
Now, alright, so about Amazon, as to why I quit. See, the job is easy. I know what to do. And it was kind of alright doing it. The problem was that got me stressed out to the point that I quit is how fast they wanted me to do the job. especially with like being like what just recently new, and they expect me to be that quick, like it's a flat rate job out of shop. That
I
was
bet
my
you if it wasn't
problem
flat
there.
right there, you'd be just going to ham on those boxes.
That was my problem there, cause there's complications in between us when it comes to being a stower. There's traffic with other stowers that's in front of you and behind you, and there's also not enough space on those aisles so you can stow the items that you need to stow. And that depends how big the box is, or let alone how big the item is. And there's even at times that when you go on the very bottom and there's very large items, as in a big long rectangle one, not like a huge box, but like a long rectangle one, like think of it like a beam or like a bar that you put up in top of your window for a curtain, something like that, or a bunch of golf pucks. So sometimes those bottom aisles can either be overfilled and you don't know if they are, and the scanner will usually tell you which. You also gotta have a scanner with you at all times, so you scan the barcode of an item, the right barcodes, and where you'll scan that barcode, and then you also scan another barcode that's on the aisle that will indicate where the item will be. And again, my issue was if the bottom portions of that shelf is completely full, bro, you better find another one. And it gets annoying when you just can't find another one. Where not only the items can't be close to each other in two aisles next to each other, but it had to be one aisle in between each other, or let alone that portion of the aisle itself is not completely full. That was a hassle. The other hassle was how do I put this? Out of nowhere, depending if an item is like, if there's an item on a certain portion of the shelf, and there's also another shelf that's empty, and then you put that same item, that another item that's the same thing is next to it, you can't put it there because, of course, they can't be next to each other. It had to be like, and there had to be a portion of a shelf in between each other to be in that same aisle, if you get my drift.
I do not catch your drift. You might need to go a little wider.
Nah, you need drift boost more often.
Let me put this simple, alright? So, alright, let me try to say this again. So, let me put this as simple as I can. So, alright, there is a shelf on the aisle, right? There's one, and there's already an item there, right?
Okay.
I grab an item from the cage that's the same thing as the item from that same shelf. And there is a shelf next to the item that's not the item, right? The item is on one shelf. And then I get the item from the cage that's the same thing and put it on the shelf that's next to the shelf that has the item that's the same thing, right?
Alrighty. I
put it there. The item's been scanned. What I need to scan is the barcode of the shelf, indicating where it will be. And then it will give me an error that it can't be there because items can be next to each other.
So you didn't know what to do at that point?
At times. Because what had to be done there is basically so think of it like this. So I can't put an item next to each other to another item in a different shelf that's next to each other. So I had to put it in another shelf that's, you could say it's a shelf between a space. Like one item's in one shelf, there's a shelf in between. Nothing with the same item. And then there's that third shelf that has that same item. That could be there. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay. Seven Son, you seem mad quiet.
Yeah, I've just been listening more often. I was just waiting for my turn, but if the head honcho has to say something, I'll just let him have it.
And moving on forwards into Amazon, it was getting hectic because I was getting called upon in HR about my performance and how slow I am and stuff. it was getting annoying to the point like I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to quit and leave because I couldn't take it anymore. Like, how fast do you want me to go, bro? I don't have an LS engine inside of me that allows me to go as fast as you want and give it hell as much as you want. All right, don't expect me to go that quick.
LS swap filler win.
Tyler gets 2J swapped. Forget an LS.
As soon as I get a supercharger, so I can whine at them for a reason.
Tyler becomes a Karen. Oh no.
I was getting tired of it. I was getting tired of it, of being called upon HR just because of how slow I am with my stolen rate. Which, I've been stolen items left and right, man. And it's not my fault that the items on the cages are from... Alright, so there's drop zones in where we go as stowers to go and get cages full of items so we can stow them on the shelves on different aisles, right? The issue there is that the items are mixed. They're not purposely put in there for the appropriate drop zones. So they told me to either ignore those items or get a case that is appropriate for a certain type of aisle. But since I can't tell the difference between what fits and what doesn't, I just go along with whatever that comes in my way and stow it. I'm like, fuck it. If my job is to stow, I'm stowing. Simple as that.
You didn't tell me exactly how I gotta stow it.
I mean, I can't just leave an item behind and whatnot. Only times I'll give it to HR is when the box is broken. Or the item is broken somehow.
Oh.
But I was getting tired of it, too. I was getting tired of it. And, I mean, I didn't make much friends in there either, so it was whatever.
I feel like it's better to just keep... I mean, I don't know. It might just be me, but it's better to... Or stay, like, not have any friends when you work. Just keep to yourself and do what you gotta do so you can head home quicker.
True, but at least in a shop environment with what I'm right now, hey, having friends can just really help you go by through the day. Sometimes.
Yeah, I can see. I think it's just a choice. Or maybe there's like a balance there. Like maybe have like a few friends that can improve your mood, but not have like the entire workplace is friendly with you.
Plus, I'm not the most talkative when it comes to socializing in the workplace, so...
Oh, good. I'm also socially awkward. I'm getting shot at.
I mostly talk when they ask me something.
Kind of the same in my case.
But anyways, I ended up quitting. What I had to do to quit Amazon, I had to go to a certain portion of the Amazon app, right? The Amazon employee app. And then tell them, and then not tell them. Submit like a request of my resignation. And also select the date which I would quit. And I quit the September 4th, or the first day of the weekend of the month of September, which was a Saturday. And I picked that day, and I also had doubts and thoughts. Not like doubts as in quitting as a whole, but doubts as in, is it the right time that I'm quitting? Or is it too soon that I'm doing it? Like, I even Googled because I didn't know much about the 2-week notice thing, but I don't know if I was doing the right thing or wrong thing to quitting this soon. Especially when I don't even know who my supervisor was. Yeah, I mean, the app said who your supervisor was, but I never talked to him. I don't even know him in person, so I don't know. Hell, I don't even know if he's there in the days that I show up.
Google, like, how do I file my 2 weeks notice? Google. Well, first you need to talk to your supervisor and arrange some sort of meeting. Bing, just walk out. Just leave.
Except fulfillment centers in Amazon working as a, it's not like a typical job. Like, you can just go to your manager's office and then talk to them about your resignation or whatever other complaint that you have. No, it's not like that.
Whereas Bing be like, okay, you just want to leave your work, just cause a ruckus and get fired.
Cause a riot and leave. Overthrow management.
No, you can't afford that, because if you're trying to get another job and somehow the job that you're trying to apply for, management team or HR team tries to contact that previous manager, they're gonna throw shade at you. And that's what I don't want, or let alone happen, so I don't know. But, I mean, there wasn't anything, you could say that was considered something that Subaru would have to contact. Because there was an option on my application when I applied for Subaru that don't contact my previous employer, which, not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know who was supervising me. I don't remember who was supervising me, so I don't know, or don't remember.
Don't contact my...
Hell, even filling out my application and ask me who was my supervisor or manager, like, I don't know who it was. Or let alone try to remember whom it was, or what his name was. Or his phone number, which it's not like that. Hell, there isn't even a public phone number for the fulfillment center itself.
That's a red flag.
But yeah, that's all the things that I remember and went through out of my time at work, from when I started to as of right now. Depends, who knows what can happen in the future.
Hey, at least make sure they're good adventures and not something tragic that'll scar you for the longest.
At least.
Don't...
Oh, one more thing about Subaru. There was this one time that I was filling up. No, I don't remember if it was oil or it was, I'd say, water to fill up for the windshield fluid. But either of those, the hose hit the front bumper of a car that I was working on, right? And then there was another coworker there that was a higher position than I am. Not a management, if not a higher technician. That see me hit it, and then he got surprised and almost got mad at me that I hit the bumper, but then when he looked at it closely, there's no dent, so I got lucky. But about the hose, I was pulling it back so it can go back in its place. That's why the hose moved and then seemingly hit the front bumper. Which, that didn't cost anything. Which I also thought that would cause damage as well to the car, which thank goodness it didn't. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened. So yeah, that's what I can say about so far about Subaru. And even Amazon.
Subaru and Amazon for the moment.
It would have went better for Amazon for me if, I was a delivery driver, but I'm considered too young to be that.
If anything, they could have gone easy. That could have been a better experience if they were good just to go easy on you, especially if you're just new guy.
Nah, but they expect me to be quick about it, Amazon, especially during these times. Hell, they don't even let you use your phone at work. I mean, obviously, because it's your job, you just can't goof around on your phone. But as a pit operator, it's worse. See, the rules for as a pit operator, you can't use your phone at all. If you get caught using your phone, they're either just gonna write you up or you get immediately fired.
Jeez.
But because, you're not supposed to have your phone at all in work. At all in the workplace, in Amazon.
I agree.
But we were allowed to have our phones when I started working. After all, we're at these times, but only for the case of emergencies. I'm not gonna say I'm a snitch, let alone, I'm not even gonna... It's not considered snitching if I don't remember the person, alright? I don't even know if they still work there to begin with. But
Yeah,
I seen a person playing music on his phone. That's all I can say.
yeah, that's as much as you can say. As long as no names are like, told, then you're good to go.
Hell, I never seen that person in my life. All I know, he was playing music. That's all. And nobody said anything. I didn't say anything. Nobody, no other employee said anything. But you know what I could say? I never encountered with a terrible coworker to the point that either he or she was a Karen. That's what I could say I'm glad about.
Just genuine people.
Just general good people. Yeah. That I can be glad about for now. Because I don't know if that can happen eventually. Not just in Silver, but also let alone in any workplace that I end up working in the future.
Generally, for like, okay, quick question. But for the time you be work, like, for the small time you work in Amazon, has you like met any employees who just went at you and complained about the workplace or anything?
No. But I remember, no. Which I'm trying to remember, no.
Be surprised.
All I remember in terms of communication, they were the people that, guided me and trained me that I spoke to. There was also another guy that spoke little English, but I sort of helped him in translating from English to Spanish. And there's also another woman that taught me how to do a certain task, which I was assigned to do instead of stowing for like a few hours from like around 1 or 2 to the end of my shift. Which, hey, it was something different, and at least it was something I didn't have to suffer doing. Which, at first, I was tasked to go to a break room and write down any names as to who was not following the guidelines. Like that kind of sound. You don't want anybody doing that.
Exactly.
And then, let me try to remember what was I supposed to do. I was supposed to organize, the aisles that I talked about? Yeah, so sometimes, especially on the bottom shelves, it can be messy depending how people put those items in. My job was just to basically organize them and have a tablet with me as well to take a picture of the barcode of that shelf itself. Take a picture of how messy it was before, and then take a picture of it after I fix it. And that actually I prefer doing that actually. the amount of speed that I had to do in terms of stowing, but then again, I also had to hustle it up because there were stores behind me. And I didn't want to mess up their stowing rate. Even though mine was practically low on the dirt like Baku's credit score, but yeah, I don't want to mess up their shit. So yeah, that was also another thing that I used to do on Amazon, just for like one day and one day only.
Wait, the whole thing was for one day?
I mean, yeah, my time in Amazon was so short.
Jeez, you all had one day. Okay.
And that was like, let's say, like 2 or 3 days before I quit.
Man's went through like 10 years of, well, not 10 years, but like 2 years of experience in a matter of a day.
I really do be like that.
Right. Say you've like legit finished with your part.
I don't believe you guys have anything to share, don't you?
I have nothing, but I think 7-6 does.
Yeah, normally I would prioritize prod like before me, despite me being the main mod or whatever. But I happen to be the one with, like some experiences here and there. I was like never really employed full on, but I would just like work alongside and get some stuff. Do remember some early experiences. There was this like small program where you would just work for 2 weeks, and basically you would be at some of the mayor's offices, and I was just there with my brother. We were both employed at the same time, and what we do is normal maintenance stuff. Clean the trashes, like mop the floors, all the fancy stuff. And at the end of the day, I just do get a fancy check, and that was just way back in, like I was in high school and all. But fast forward that, and after like the hurricane seasons and whatnot, and there was this like job opportunity that mom and I like had, but back when we just like just recovering from the hurricane and whatnot, and that was the census, the whole thing, and if people, OGs and like the server and all, like if they have talk to me and all there, like it was just months, like 2 months or 3 months, just constantly working, like visiting through houses and houses, like around town and some other towns, and it's pretty simple, like census is just there to like fill up information about like citizens and all that or like would see how many would live in a house, or like who's like kind of living there. And back then they would like usually ask for social security in the census, but nowadays they don't even ask that. It's just who's like who's living there, like see it's kind of like filling information, just an average, like just like if any citizen needs some help from the government or anything. And the premise of the whole thing of the census is just see if to see how much specifically from like how much for the government funds specifically to be sent to
To
like
them.
certain states and all. Yeah. And all those months I was just mostly in my car, just like taking mom to places, and all this stuff. So yeah, all those months, like not only like my was putting my car on test and trial and whatnot, I was also improving myself and just how to like go to work and all. Uh,
I was gonna say, y'all telling me y'all got personalized welfare?
uh, Thing is, there are moments where well, at least mom was just equipped with a with an actual laptop granted from the guys in Census themselves, so she can like update the whole stuff. It already came with, like AT&T data, so even if we were in the most isolated of like zones in the mountains and all, we would still have some data at least. And what we do is like we would well, it's kind of sad, we would first arrive to the person's play, like the house that we were assigned in the laptop itself. Fill in the information, and after we fill in the information, we would just like grab an envelope and just confirm a code through the laptop, and then actually write down the code in the envelope as kind of an evidence that hey, we've kind of visited, and it'd be great for you to just sign like fill this envelope and then send it to the email. So what I did do is that once they receive the envelope from the guy's census, they have to like fill it in and like in the paper, then send it to the mail office. And what it does is that it already comes with the address, so it'll be sent back to the census, like one of the headquarters of the census, and so it'll just be filled like have their information updated to the database. But throughout this whole time, and I'm just kind of disappointed, like throughout this whole time, because of COVID and whatnot, there was this there was some slight delays and whatnot, and not everyone was like registered per se, and because of that, it happened to be that it was a whole failed operation. But even at the end of the day, like mom and I still got paid and all. If anything, it got me to explore more around my town and the many other corners of the town.
Seven
Uh,
son. It's a crazy text. No, go ahead. Make it just make a retarded comment.
Sure. Well, not only that, but it also helped me just learn like to like drive the car better, to learn more about the car and all the stuff. Because has been one moment where the car would suddenly like start misfiring and all whatnot. I was unaware of the issue, and I thought like unplugging the ground of the battery and the car's battery, then plugging it back in would just solve the issue, which it kind of did for a bit, but it would keep coming back. Turns out upon further inspection, the fuel tank was like stained with like corrosion and whatnot, so that took a whole day just strip out the tank and just get it all clean, and it just it runs like new. And after that, it had more issues with the AC, and then it was more like
Oh
electronics
yeah, you
issues.
told me about that. It was like a whole,
Yeah,
it was like a whole saga basically of dealing with the AC.
it was it was a whole saga, and it was painful. If if anything, currently the car just like the whole AC unit is brand new. Like the compressor has been changed, the condenser has been changed. The gas it was refilled with gas like 3 times for its current my current ownage. Pretty much going to 3 years of owning the car at the moment. Uh, the AC fan for for the actual car has been swapped. The inner fan and inner blower itself has been changed. So the whole car based on AC, it's it's already fixed. But sorry for just going off topic for a moment. Kind of got excited for the whole AC saga on the car. Currently, the car, well, it's gonna be the last talk of the car, but currently the car does not have the power windows function. That also is an additional $100 just to be spent on both door and driver and passenger. So there's that.
I don't. So what? You got manual? So how you get your windows down?
Uh, uh, and they're up. They don't go down. They're held by
So if you're sweating bullets in your car, you can't do anything.
like my own choice. Just turn on the AC if I'm sweating because they're up. They're currently locked up by and held by pieces of 2x4. But
What?
that's again going off topic.
No, not really, because it is related to your job because you needed your car to get around. Your job it literally involves driving. So
Yeah, but but more bits on the senses. Well, of course I would drive all over and whatnot. We would wake up around 5 or 6 a.m. if I remember, and we would just we would start working in a fixed schedule. And we would just go out. That's kind of something that mom just works on her side. All I have to do is just drive her to places, and she does the rest of the work. If anything, I'd say it's par on par because not only I'm adding wear to the car, I'm also sweating on my side. In some cases where the AC would not work, and mom for doing the rest of the work. Sure, I would sometimes take her place and just do some of the stuff myself. Uh, just have mom take a break or something. Of course, we bring the munchies and all. So there's that.
7-6 is the baby driver.
Let's
You'd actually,
go.
you'd, well, yeah, you're pretty
Why
much not
hasn't
the only.
somebody made that a meme? I just realized that. Sorry, off topic, but that should have been a meme. Anyways, back to it.
Adding more
Yeah.
about the AC problem, you might as well just bought a wall AC and just put it on the rear windows.
May as well just get a
Yeah.
whole ass fan. Pull a bus driver. Get a whole
That's
ass fan and just put it on your dashboard.
There was a moment where the car was not being in use, and I had to go dad's dad's actual Montero of SUV, and that didn't have AC, so he literally just hardwired a fan into the battery and got it into the actual inside of the car itself. So that was that. Uh, a little bits of the senses work. Of course, I drove all over town 10 different times in different entrances and all. I have been spots I've never been. Uh, and overall, it's just such a unique experience because you're literally in the streets all day, just filling the information. Uh, John, outside of the census work, there has been some moments where I would work at Saturdays. My where Dad would work. For any of the newcomers, people are unaware. That works at a car parts store. Not the chain stores like AutoZone or Vans, but the small ones that are
Auto
mostly
shop.
focused. Yeah. Uh, of pretty much it's the usual stuff. Because of my knowledge in cars and all, I would have it easy just knowing parts because parts and no, this is kind of pretty basic knowledge if you're trying to if you're trying to own a car or just owning a car. Each car part each car part is labeled on the code, and that code is some shares similarities with the other cars. So some codes if one if that one car shares pretty much the same code of an alternator like from other cars, you can interswap the parts here and there. And there are some trims of the cars they can be near identical, but if the one trim, but even by one trim of the same car, one difference of a trim can even change the car part itself.
I can tell that this is where this is gonna lead into you having a few
Te-
fuck ups with Feller with this.
Well, that's Chai's vice parts here, but not to worry really. Korean and Japanese cars are like the specialty of the shop. So, and on top of that, they're really cheap parts as replacements. They're usually the new parts where like they only sell genuine until like a couple of years down the road. And yeah, Toyota parts are not cheap by any chance. I mean, genuine Toyota parts.
Oh, they aren't cheap.
Genuine Toyota parts are not cheap. Only the replacement ones are like a whole lot cheaper because they're like second-hand made.
Mm.
Quick example. How about an alternator? Genuine Honda alternator itself could around $80 to $90. Genuine. The replacement ones would cost around 60 or so. Sure, granted they may not have the same quality, but you get what you pay for. And besides car parts, they also sell accessories like actual wipers themselves. They would also sell like floor mats, lights, some like decorative license plates. Just mostly, but the more commonly sold parts like light bulbs, and we do also like at least for the shop also offer LED lights, like LED bulbs. But but aside from all what's on sale, and yeah, Pick, I agree. Like genuine Honda parts themselves, they may seem cheap compared to like that of a luxury car, but it's generally speaking that like there are a lot. It sounds like the alarm.
Yeah, that was the alarm. I'll let you finish though.
Yeah, ID. Genuine parts, yes, they seem cheap depending on the brand of car, but they're usually more expensive than the second-hand parts. We do also sell like kits or like for actual car parts. So, like we can like sell you the whole gasket kit for an engine of a specific car. We could just specifically sell you a head gasket, or an oil pan gasket per se. Same goes for like suspension, like arm, well, also like yeah, control arms of a specific car, like a whole control arm kit along with the bushings. Generally, it's despite being a rather small store, it pulls in lots of clients, especially and that taught me this. And if you earn the clients heart with if you earn the client's heart with your hospitality and how kind you are and how serviceable you can be, they'll always just come back for you specifically. You could just be behind the shelf or something, and if that same client comes back, hey, if is Phil around here? Like I really want him. Like I want to help on me. They know they come back just for you, and that's how you earn the client's trust, and that's how you get more clients on the shop.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we do also offer some actual installation for the basic stuff like wipers and. There is also a back, a shop behind the store itself where they can also do general servicing on cars and all, but that's only by someone else. It's still part of the shop itself, but it's its own thing technically. Other than that, well, yeah, it's just the same car parts that you would find on the chain, but it's a lot smaller. And what really sells there, it's actual customer service per se. We really find ways. And thing is, just to really solve our clients and whatnot. If we do not have the part, we can also we can order it from the catalog itself and have it shipped to the store in a couple of days.
Damn! Somebody got forced down. Sorry.
What? Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
We can. Well, as I was saying again, if we do not have the part per se, we can either like order it so it'll arrive in a couple of days and restock, or we can like suggest other stores near like other car parts stores nearby that may or may not have the parts, because we also have like a separate branch of the store like in the town below. That's also great. So the key to pretty much like get the clients to come back for you is just try and help them with like their problems. Like hell, if anything, we have like a massive sack full of like O-rings of different sizes and dimensions, and pretty much sold them for like I don't know quarter per se. And this also comes down to like one experience I had. Like there's like the two clients that came up at me say, and they you can bring in your own like damaged parts so we can just like see in comparison and just for like confirm if it's the right part, because there has been some mistakes in the past, but maybe we're running a little time here. So one of my experiences there is that these two guys came up at the store with a broken O-ring, and because that like behind the shelf there's like massive sack of O-rings. So what I do is just pull out the sack and just like place it on the counter, and that one by one was starts like looking for like similarities, like for which O-ring would be the closest to that one. So they just came to looking for a new O-ring, and I kind of like helped them solve that, and they were really grateful for it.
Does this mean that you guys are like friendly with the competition?
I mean, we're friendly with the competition, of course. Hell, if anything, we also suggest these guys like call up some other stores to see if they have the parts and all. But we do like what we can, just to keep having like customers around.
But is there some rivalry though in some capacity? Yeah, it's a friendly competition, but is it really friendly?
Is it
That's
actually friendly? You guys shake hands, or is it shake hands and then stab you in the back?
I really cannot say for certain since I only work under like part time on the request, but it's kind of something that like I really have no control of, and if it does like really happen again, something like the bosses themselves had to like work with. Mm, yeah, like pretty much you sold like the usual goods, the parts, and remember I said we mostly specialize in like Japanese and Korean cars.
Yeah.
There has been some like car like customers with European cars just asking us for like some parts. That's where would be those orders would be called like special orders per se, because these are like oncoming parts. And so what we like we do is like what we would write down a piece of paper that a certain part has been set like bought to as a request. uh, if said part was like to be sold, we would grab another book per se. So we have one notebook to buy certain parts, to buy some parts to restock, and we have another book to if said part was to be sold. This is only strictly for car parts per se, because like off shelf parts like accessories and whatnot not really counted. It's a matter of restocking.
Are there any? I thought I was about to get shot. Are there any customers that you actually like prioritize?
Uh, this is I really shouldn't be saying this out loud here. But there are some customers that I like like the only priority given to certain customers is if customers are actually nice with the employees and whatnot in the shop, they get a low key discount, because some.
Ooh. Okay.
But hear me out. Uh,
Sucks.
thing is, for the parts themselves, they're like for the car, the price for the car parts themselves, like they're labeled on letters, and what the sell like the bosses do is that they label them on letters, so they can get an average of the pricing. And if the client itself is like really cool guy or something that's like with the
Oh
shop, and it really
my
helps them with the sales,
god.
they get a low-key discount.
So you're saying if I come over there with a box of donuts and like here, this is all for you, I'm about to get a discount?
No, not really like that. Like actual customer that contributes to like to the sales, and it's generally a nice person to begin with.
I mean, how big of a discount are we talking?
Just you have your average customers that just go in, buy something, and leave, and then there's like bad customers that like always on a hurry and all. and are always like bad mouthing and all. And then there's the good ones.
How much of a discount do they get? The good customers, like
That
5%,
does. It, it could be. You actually said around 5 to 10 per se. Kind of depends on like the cost of the parts themselves.
10%.
That's kind of a little secret that not even like not these third like these small like the sort of stores don't really tell you. That if you like
Oh,
generally a
oh,
good
and there's a
customer contribute to the
caution.
sales themselves, then they get a low key discount without realizing it.
Learn how this guy got 15% off on every store he went to using this one simple trick.
Uh,
Managers hate him.
if anything, managers love them because they pretty much contribute to the sales.
Corporate wants to ban him.
And another specialty that we have is that we pretty much like compete with the price. Like we pretty much like have a better pricing for parts compared to our competitors. Say
So there is a rival.
it is, yes. It just so happens that even if there's a rival, we don't have the parts. We'd still like suggest like calling other stores to see if they have the parts. You know, we do what we can to help our customer, even if we have a rivalry.
That's nice value. Customer, the customer is king.
Well, if it's that to that extent, I cannot imagine the headaches that may come from work. But yeah, generally, yeah, customers just treat it nice and fairly, and if it's that nice and fairly, then yeah, it's gotta be a win-win. Uh,
Now I just need Majima coming in front of the store and saying that the customer is king.
nah, that's gonna be a reference not many would get. But besides that, to identify a part per se, it's actually easier than people would think. Because like some chain stores have it easier like finding the parts catalog per se because they all have it all in one system. For our case, we have like five or six different tabs open for certain parts for certain cars and whatnot. And what we do is that we type out the make, model, the year of the car, the same trim, the same certain engine, and we look up for the part. We then search for the part we're looking for, and if it does give us a code per se, we look back at the actual storage room for the part, and it's really abundant in that case, and kind of a maze. But we look back at the part, and we get to like find it there. And again, chain stores always have it easier because everything is literally displayed there. In our case, in terms of it's a case of memorizing the layout. And yeah, that's how we pretty much like find like the car parts themselves. It's generally by code. And you enter enter the stats of the car like per se, you know, or the specifications per se. You get that code, you find it. There are some cases where like people, like at least in Dad's case, he has to be 20 years in this business. He memorizes the codes of like the car parts themselves for each like from like, at least for the majority of the cars. Like he can literally like find it without having to browse in the catalog.
Okay, that's veteran status.
Yeah, one day it may end up there. Who knows?
Who knows? How would you describe your first day there? Was it hectic or nervous?
Mm,
Nerve-wracking?
I was mostly like nervous per se because there's a lot of social interaction you have to do with a client. You have to like ask what do they really like, what's the car and all. I mean, there has been some clients who like they constantly visit there to just go on like form a whole conversation with you. It's like he meeting like you were his long life pal or something, and he's just like talking about like some of the stuff he would do.
So a part of the job is also being a good conversationalist.
Not necessarily the case, but it's a nice bonus to have like to please the client.
Well, if you please the
Because
client, they're more inclined to come back. So
So basically, be sociable and know what you're talking about.
pretty
yeah,
much, yeah. There has been some moments where like clients would like some other clients would just talk to each other about certain stuff that like some of the project builds they would do, some of the stuff like the work they would do around house, some of the tragedies that happen, stories. You get to hear a lot, like you get to know a lot more about these people.
and
I'm not gonna lie. I was also nervous when I first started working at Subaru not because I didn't know what to do. I know what to do. I went to school for it after all. But it's actually doing it in a working environment in the real world. That's what got me nervous. Because you're not in school. Because regardless if you do it right or wrong, you're doing it at school. It doesn't matter. You're learning.
Yeah,
But in the real
if you meant-
world, that's where you're gonna be focused and be actually doing shit right. Otherwise, you're gonna get screwed over.
yeah, it's like one of those things. Like if you're in school, like okay, you mess up, don't do it again. But you fuck up here, worst case scenario, you're out of a job now.
Yeah.
I also got some other things that now I just remembered, like this coworker that is still going to the same school that I just graduated from. He started working before I did, like a lot earlier, like around more or less the same time I started working at Amazon last year. And the things that he told me that he did wrong was he accidentally drained down coolant instead of engine oil. And it got dumped down into a used oil cart, which that's where we typically get the oil from the cars that's used when we're draining oil to that cart. And speaking of coolant, so we have a place and where we can empty the carts of oil and even coolant, but typically oil. So when he took the cart full of used oil, and there's two areas there, and where there's a hose there, and it will suck out of the oil. It will suck the oil out of the cart, so that way it goes to a big tank that's outside where that oil is collected. He accidentally, but this is, to be fair, it was more like a misdirection, but he accidentally hooked up a hose that was supposed to suck out coolant that goes into a coolant line that's supposed to collect used coolant. And that's where that used oil went. And when I say it was a misdirection, it was because they were never labeled. When he first started working there, it wasn't labeled as to which one is which, as in which one sucks out oil or which one sucks out coolant. Until later on, that's when they label it. And even when I started working, it's labeled as to which is which. That way, no mistake like that can happen again.
I like how it only takes one mistake for them to actually label the blood. What's what.
And there was even one time that there was also another. There were two other people, and when I remember, they were also from the same school, but I never met them in my life. They started working there before I did. So what I remember, there was this one guy that he probably was a bit shorter, but he was trying to get the oil out, trying to loosen up the drain plug, and he was using wrenches, not a ratchet with a socket, but wrenches. And and what I heard from other people, he was having problems with it to the point that the wrench got stuck, and then this man was up in the air grabbing up on the wrench. And like he was a monkey. And there was another guy that apparently he showed up on his first day. Other coworkers were asking him if he knew what he was doing, and he said yeah, he understood and whatever. But then he didn't show up to work for 3 days straight. Then when he showed up again, my manager just straight up fired his ass. He didn't give no warning, no heads up, no nothing. He didn't show up for 3 days, and he got fired.
He's like, just don't come in. All right, you don't want to come in for 3 days. Don't come in for the next forever. Don't come in forever. You're fired.
Guess what, boy? You just been promoted, and you only been here for a few days. You been promoted to customer.
Yeah, like.
And even took a bit of time to get my uniforms.
Right, I was about to say that the uniforms, like we have like we have our own uniforms and all, but you also have to wear like a certain like type of uniform that like it's kind of like a sponsor. Like some are Valvoline, some are from the actual store itself. Then we wear them on specific days.
Now, like I mentioned earlier about showing up with casual clothes. Now, after that, because I showed up in jeans and a collar shirt. That's how I showed up on my first day. The next day, I just showed up with a regular shirt and some sweatpants. And that's what I've been wearing ever since, until the day I got my uniforms. Which was just recently this week.
Ah, nice.
What's it like?
They're great pants. And the shirt is basically, I'm going to show you because I have one of them in my closet right now.
Ooh, tell me he looks like a CarMax salesman.
Yo, filler, show me the Carfax.
I may show you in a picture later on in the server as to what the drip looks like.
Aye.
But this is what it looks like. So
I got no down payment drip.
So it's a button-up shirt. The shoulders are in blue, and then there is a black stripe in between from around the chest area, and even on the sleeves, all the way down, it's gray. And then on the back, on the front, on the right side, there's a stitched up tag that has the employee's name, which has my name. I mean, sorry, the right side. The left side is what has Subaru that says quality driven service. And then on the back, it's nothing but the Subaru logo. I know, kind of hard to picture it with the way I explain it. I'll post a picture later on.
I'll be looking forward to it.
Because showing proof, evidence, videos, pictures, or drawings, or whatever is better than just explaining it with your own words. It's like, why do you need to show your work on map, man? You've seen it with your own eyes. Why do I need to elaborate more? But another issue here is that another co-worker that worked before that started working before I did. It took him like 2 months to get his uniform.
Damn.
I can just imagine like Seven Son goes to visit you, and he brings his Mirage, and then the workers are like, "You think this is fucking funny? You think this is a joke? You think this is funny?" And then they just point to the fucking the Mitsubishi logo.
Hell, there was even another manager, because, alright, so there's 2 managers in the dealership. One that's on the service area, well, that's the area I work, and then the other one that basically is the manager, but for the dealership portion. He came in, sometimes both of them come in. Yeah, either one of them or both of them. And then on my first day, that other manager, bro, he thought the customers were working on cars now, apparently, but until he noticed me, he just noticed me. And then we just said hello and move on from there. He only noticed me because of what I was wearing. Obviously, I was the only one now with no uniform.
Hey, Prod, mind checking the stream chat for a moment?
Sure.
Yeah, but upon Prod's joke, I'd be ballsy enough to just show up for the Subaru dealership with Mitsubishi, like my Mirage itself, just like get it off, like
show up to a
service.
Mitsubishi dealership with my Subaru uniform.
I know.
What do you want me to, like, I will show up and then just say, what would I say, Vape Nation or Subi Gang?
Rally yard, bitch.
Stream has been going on for, like, surprisingly around the same time as the very first live stream with no issues, so I might as well just end it now before I regret saying that.
Yeah, you should probably do
So
that.
anyways, man. So anyways, thank you for joining in the stream. Hope you liked it. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment down what your thoughts. Subscribe if you're new. Share my channel. Share my videos. I need the attention. Please. Join my Discord server.
Please, Waffle.
Join my server if you want to be part of the Nets podcast, which podcasts originally were supposed to be on Sundays and Tuesdays, but now it's changed to just only Sundays because, typically I just want to have that Tuesday to myself, not just to relax, but also to work in new videos as well. And see you guys in the next one. Next video, next live stream, or next thing that I'm going to be putting out in a few days or months or days to come. I'm out.
This one should just be renamed Work Stories, but live.
I'll rename it eventually.
Please, Waffle, join us.
I'm going to go back to playing Modern Warfare now.
I'm going back and watch the rest of this NASCAR Talladega race.
I'll be watching a chain wreck stream.
Enjoy.